guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Monday afternoon. Want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as season. I got a word for you. Tap in when all hell starts breaking loose. When all hell, honey, when all hell starts breaking loose, consider it all joy. Let me just tell you guys. So on the community page, I shared that Mr. Steve, prior to his transition, I said it on a documentary. We talked about it on a documentary, but he had shared James chapter 1, verses 2 and 4 with me. He introduced me to that verse, which is, consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. Okay, this is easier said than done, right? It's easier said than done when you are in the middle of those fiery trials. Now, each trial is different. From my personal experience, the level of your attack depends on the level of the blessing. Because if it's a blessing that's going to be life-changing for you, and definitely life-changing for others, where it's purpose and calling, that attack is going to be way, way, way more intense than just, I don't know, God blesses you with, I don't know, a new lawnmower, right? He promised you a lawnmower, and boom, he gave you a lawnmower. You may not even have no attack, like seriously. But when you start climbing and you start to get up in certain rims and certain levels of promises, those attacks become more and more and more intense. So I was messaging in my recording this morning in the comment section with a friend of mine who's actually a personal friend, and she was just saying in the comment section how, like, she didn't even know she was going to make it out of a current storm. And see, here's the thing. And me knowing her personally, I know that she's one of those individuals who don't like to bother people. So it's almost like you got to be careful. Now, some storms, there are certain things that God just need to get to you, and he may not need you have pulling in so many different directions. But when it comes down to those kind of storms, you got to be very careful that the enemy is not trying to trick you into isolation when God really needs you to reach out to other people. Let it be for prayer, for individuals to pour into you. It can really get it can really become a very isolated time when it's a very, very dark storm, and you got to be very careful, because the enemy will start playing in your head, telling you nobody don't care. You try to reach out to somebody, they don't answer the phone. The person probably busy somewhere. The enemy is telling you they don't want to be bothered with you. Like, he's very strategic. You got to know that when your soul is empty and like you feel like you have nothing to give, make sure you reach out to people, even if your pastor is busy. Like, you gotta get filled back up, turn on your worship music, right? Many times in those dark storms like that, you're so lost. Like, it's hard to even find that strength to pray. But this is also why it's very important to have friends and people in your immediate circle who are authentically from God and authentically from you, because they will feel it. They will feel like this particular friend right here, even though I kind of knew she was going through some things, but she never got into details. But then there will be times that my spirit will ping for me to pray for her. So God will alert you to pray for people behind the scenes, because sometimes people don't even have the strength to pray for themselves. But let me just tell you, with certain storms, and see, again, it depends on the higher you go, okay? Because with this particular friend, God is moving in her life, and God is really opening some doors for her after just going through a rough season. But God is opening some doors for her, and so it's going to be life-changing. So now that this is going to be life-changing, anytime it's a life-changing situation, the enemy is going to attack you very hard. He's going to hit your finances. He's going to hit your kids. He's going to hit your family. He's going to hit your mental health. He's going to hit your emotions. He's going to even hit you physically. Like, he can hit you in so many different ways that you get to the point where it really feels like your freaking mind is slipping. Like, seriously, it's easy for your mind to slip. This is why I tell people, you better be careful when you're sitting here judging and talking about people with mental illness that you see on the side of the road. You better be very careful, because it can take a second for your mind to slip. Get into a certain kind of storm, right? Get into a certain kind of storm. You got to be careful. You got to be very careful, because some of them storms will take your mind if you're not careful. So, because this is a life-changing storm for her or for any of you guys, right? God have already made you guys some promises. See, a lot of us are in a season where these promises are truly, truly letting us know that we've arrived. We're in due season, right? Not arrived like that, but we're in due season. It's like the next shift is going to literally be into your destiny season. So the enemy is pissed. Now, a lot of people didn't make it. A lot of people fell off and they kind of just reverted back. It is what it is. Listen, you can't even judge them, because you know this thing is no joke, right? But then there's a lot of people who really stuck this thing out in spite of, right? The enemy has now amped up the fire. But it's okay, because God has all the fire, right? You can get it. Play with it, right? So I've been reading a lot of your emails in regards to very, very horrible demonic dreams. This can be dreams that people are attacking your family, like the enemy is like doing some old crazy stuff to your family, like really, really bad, horrible dreams, as well as intrusive downloads and thoughts. These are thoughts that you are not thinking yourself. This is some old demonic, scary tactic type stuff. Almost like some old Halloween foolishness that the enemy is just, I mean, you could be sitting there trying to eat your eggs and your grits, honey. Yes, honey, I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. Grits, honey, all day long. Yes, honey, grits. Cornbread free. Kissy. Whew. Okay. You could be sitting there trying to eat your grits, honey. I mean, you having a great day. And I mean, he just downloaded some crazy stuff in your head. And all this stuff is scare tactics. What the enemy is doing is he is trying to get you to literally move out of the position that God has promised you. You have to be so connected. You got to be so firm on knowing that it is what it is. I'm not moving, point blank, period. You can try what you want to try, point blank, period. But I know you can't touch me, point blank, period. Right? You got to have that mindset. You got to have, like those of you who are, and again, we all just have different personalities. Some people are a little more timid, a little more, a little more shy, a little more meek or whatever. Where some people are like that A personality, like you're more gruff, you're more, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. With a lot of the stuff that's going on right now in the demonic realm, you can't play with the enemy. You can't play with him. Like, you're going to have to ask God, because see, all that fire and stuff that you develop in that wilderness, and like this is why God had you to develop that stuff through fasting or through discipline or whatever, because God knew the higher he take you, that you will now be fighting what you say, new levels, new devils, or something like that, whatever that cliche is. It's listen, honey, it's the truth. And you don't even know it. Like, you don't even see this stuff coming. It's almost like you get exposed to stuff on another level. So at a certain level, you don't see none of this stuff, right? You're kind of dealing with the devils is kind of like on that level. So you can kind of like, but the higher you go, honey, listen. Whew. But you got to have some gruffness. You got to be determined. Try me not, try your mama. I'm going to just tell you, this ain't what you want. Try your mama, because I ain't got time. When the enemy is bringing those nightmares to you, and I keep hearing nightmares from a lot of you guys. So I don't know. I don't know why the nightmares is so more convenient for the enemy now. I don't know if it's something that he's always, I don't know, because I'm not like a nightmare person or a dreamer. Now, I will say I've been having dreams more frequently now more than ever, right? And it's a mix of dreams. Some things is more about insights of certain things, and then sometimes it's the scare tactics. But let me just, honey, let me just tell you. As much as I love to sleep, and I don't like people to wake me up out my sleep, let me just tell you, when the enemy starts bringing that stuff to you in your sleep, and it's almost like you wake up in a panic because it's like it feels so real, right? You're gonna have to get up. I don't care how tired, honey. You might have 30 minutes sleep because you don't work all. You better get up. You better get up. You better plead the blood. You better get your anointing oil. You better start calling your family member, and I mean call their names. Plead the blood. Literally call their names out, each and every one. You cannot play right now because the enemy is not playing with you. Anybody, and this is another thing too, be careful of who is coming into your life right now because he is sending all kind of counterfeits. He is sending people that may look great, but somehow or another, these people are going to start pulling at your mental, which is going to have you distracted. Listen, anybody who is in your immediate environment has to be aligned. You got to cut people off on the drop of a dime when you discover something left, or you don't have the mental capacity right now to have people pulling at you in any kind of way. That's how close you are. There is no way. Why is the warfare amping up? Like my good sis commented on the community post, said warfare is definitely amping up on her end. Why is it amping up now? Why didn't it amp up 6 months ago? Well, for some of you guys it did, right? It didn't amp up like this last year. We were trying to find God. We were bored. We were harassing God. We were harassing God's nerve. Like, God, why is it so quiet? Why is it so quiet? And now all of a sudden, honey, you can't even sleep, right? You can't even sleep. You're trying to take a ride in your car. They're dropping all kind of, oh, child, let me just tell you. You better get up and you better plead the blood over your family, over your house. Honey, get in that word. If you feel a conviction to open social media, which I would definitely not suggest that, but something I discovered, if you feel a conviction, be careful, right? Because you might feel a conviction to open social media, right? Let's just say it's YouTube. And you do open it. Now, if it's some more random foolishness, then you know that's from the enemy. But there's times too, when you open social media, if you feel the conviction, there will be a certain prayer going on, especially like them early morning prayers, a certain prayer going on. What's that gentleman's name? Honey, that man got some fire. What's his name? He just pray. I mean, he just pray all the time in the morning. Pastor Fernando's. Oh God, please help me. Fernando? Honey, you talking about spits and fire, right? So one night when I woke up and I was convicted to hit social media, which typically is the opposite, but when I did, this man had a prayer going on that was exactly what the dream was about. So this is why I tell people sometimes too. Sometimes it can get confusing and you don't know if is this God or is this not God telling me to do this. I would always suggest just try it, because if it's not God, he'll convict you. Meaning, if you go to social media and somebody got a video twerking, you know that wasn't God, then log off, right? But you go on there and now it's like, boom. Somebody else going through the same thing, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they got a whole prayer channel going on about something that you just had a nightmare about. Some of you guys are literally are in a shift that is going to change the trajectory of your life. Now, I'm not in one, I'm going to be honest, right? Because, you know, seasons changes. I'm not in one of those seasons where it's that season of drought where God just has it seems like you have nothing. I mean, nothing. No money, no friends, no, your mind half gone. Like you have nothing, right? I'm not in one of those seasons. Now, I am in one of those seasons where the enemy keeps trying me, but he keeps realizing over and over, like, this girl here. You done seen your lobsters attack me in my dream. I done rebuke you and your lobsters. Like, he'll disappear, right? And then he'll come back. But see, he keeps coming back because he want to see if you're slipping. Right? He want to see if you're slipping. So if you get a conviction that you're slipping, you better get right. So I'm not in that season, right? Where it feels like your mind is slipping. But let me tell you something. I had one of those seasons, honey. Probably about, I don't even know. Probably about 9 years ago. I don't even know. It's been a long time. Honey, some of those seasons, I'm telling you, you don't know if you're coming or you're going. You're depleted mentally, spiritually, physically, and then it seems like things keep happening where other things keep pulling from you. Like, you don't have nobody to pull from, but people still pulling at you. I mean, it's like you're literally just moving off of fumes. It's almost like you're not even there. It's just, that's grace that got you covered. But you feel like you're not even like a human being. You're just floating. If any of you are in those seasons right now where I'm telling you, you feel like the lowest of the low, you don't even feel like you're going to even make it. Let me tell you something. You better be celebrating. You better be celebrating, honey, because God is about to, I'm telling you, I've been there. It didn't make no sense. I didn't know I was coming or going. Nothing made sense. And then a suddenly happened. A suddenly. But let me keep it real, right? Within that drought, whatever you got going on, you still got to stay tapped in. Now, you may not be up on your game as far as, reading your word every day, because sometimes you just don't have the energy for it. But I'm speaking more of don't go back and do nothing crazy, right? Because see, the enemy, this is the time he's going to try to tempt you the most. Because obviously you've already heard the call of God, whatever God is trying to do in your life. You answer, this is why you're in this situation. Okay, but the enemy also knows you're in a situation too. So what is he going to do? You fool. You need to go back to that ex, right? You're living on the streets now. You might as well go back to that ex, but God didn't tell you. You better not go back to that ex. He got a whole husband for you. Right? God didn't told you. I don't want you working for pennies no more. These people will never appreciate you. I'm trying to give you a whole business. This business is going to bless your children and their children. I tapped you, right? I'm trying to give you a blueprint that's going to literally change the trajectory of your family's life. But now, because you're in this storm, you want to ignore everything I say to you, and you want to go back to this job. Well, first of all, that job is going to close down in 2 months, and you don't even know it. So there's going to be a lot of temptation, and I'm telling you, there's going to be times where you feel like you're stuck between a hard rock and the shell. Your kids may be hungry. And you know that ex who God told you to leave for whatever reason, right? I don't know, for whatever reason. But you know he'll supply. But God done told you, don't you call that fool, that child of God. And you're like, oh, no, hold up now, right? Hold up now. I can go hungry, but my kids ain't, hold up now. But if you just trust God, meaning you're obedient, I don't care, because the enemy's going to be, honey, the enemy will have that ex calling you, right? He haven't called you in a month, but he's going to call you now that your kid's hungry. You're going to have to stand on what God says. God has to take care of you. But the crazy thing is, some of these breakthroughs will literally come at the last second, not the last minute, the last second. 5 o'clock, these folks on the way to turn your light off. 4:59, the truck broke down. The electric truck broke down. They couldn't even get to you. They're calling you. Man, we'll be there tomorrow to turn your lights off because we got a flat tire. Mess around the next day, honey, there's a credit on your account out of nowhere. So what God is doing in a lot of this got to be for somebody because I'm sitting here looking at packages that I got to take to the post office, and I'm sitting here with keys in my hand. This is supposed to be a 2-minute recording, but God won't let me go, right? These seasons they're also used to develop your faith, because certain seasons, lower level seasons, you don't. I mean, you gotta have faith, but it's like, I trust God. But I mean, the warfare isn't really that strong either, right? But again, the higher you go, the more intense the warfare. So God he's really building your faith in these lower levels, right? Because remember, he's about to shift you. So because he's about to shift you, and he knows that he's about to bless you in whatever way he's promised you, there's going to be new devils at this level. Oh, please don't get it twisted, right? Blessings are blessings, but blessings come with some stuff, right? So that faith that you develop in this prior level is developing you for what you're going to need. See, we keep feeling like the stuff we go through is just irrelevant. And it really does feel like that at the time. It's like, why am I in another wilderness? I just been in the wilderness. Why I got to go back, right? It really feels like that in the time. But when you get to where God is taking you, it all makes sense. Like, I've been always transparent to say that I don't encourage nobody to do this. I didn't know any better. I wish somebody had stopped me, but I asked God for patience 15 years ago. I was tired of being impatient. I ignorantly really thought God would just, boom, one day give me patience. I've been tested for 15 years because I kept failing the test every day. And finally, I'm at 90%, right? Like a 90% patient person. But I couldn't understand. It didn't make no sense to me. Why would I need patience? I don't understand. I mean, you made me like Peter. Why would I? I got to read that story. One of my girlfriends keep telling me I remind her of Peter. I got to find out how crazy Peter really was, right? But it didn't make logical sense to me. Why do I need patience? It doesn't make sense. It really, I promise you, it didn't make sense to me. But now I'm in season, honey, where it takes patience. It requires patience. I feel the conviction to do something, but I got to be patient. And in my patience, that allows God time to work, God time to convict and show me certain things. And a few times, God, through that patience, God showed me truth. And then I was then convicted, no, don't help this person. No, blase. But without patience, then you're just moving. That's flesh. That's not spirit. So now I know 100% why I need patience. Now I'm going to be honest. Right? I think there are some things that God kind of still leave us with like a little limp, so we can always depend on him. I pray that one day I'll be at that 100% mark with patience, right? But until then, I'm going to celebrate the fact that it took me 15 years to get to 90%. Just yesterday, I don't know what this new thing is God is doing. I can be on the highway and he will intentionally put me behind a car that's doing 15. Like it could be like an elderly person. And all the other lanes are clear. And I'll get convicted to stay. What? I got to... So it doesn't make sense. But I know and I trust that even at the next level, right? The next shift, I'm going to need even more patience because he's shown me that I'm going to be required to do things on a more grand scale. And with grand things, you definitely can't move quick. So I know it doesn't make sense, friends. Whatever you do, the only thing I can really suggest to you, I promise you, this, if you're at that very, very bad, low, dry, whatever season, you are going to be tempted more than ever. You're going to be probably tempted more than you've ever been in your life. In a season where God is about to shift you, where it's going to change your life. You're going to have to pass this test. He is watching you and he's watching you close. And he will actually allow the temptation. But you know what he told you, because he's already told you in isolation, because you've already been through isolation if you're at this point. He's already told you in isolation what can't go, who ain't good for you, what he's trying to do. He's given you downloads. But that temptation is going to be amped up. It's going to be hard because now you're at the lowest of the lowest and you just want somebody there to just listen to you, whatever. You're going to have to almost get in a huddle, whatever those things called, the baseball, like a huddle where it's just, you're going to have to be so locked in that you trust God. He is watching you and he is testing you. How can he take you higher? How can he bless you when you're tempted to go back to something that petty? That's petty. Whatever the temptation is, oh, that's petty compared to where you're going. Where you're going is massive. Where your child, if I can just tell y'all what my spirit feels, some of y'all don't even know. You think it's big. Some of y'all are literally about to be shifted where it's going to change your entire life and the people who are attached to you. It's major. It's grand. It's supernatural. This is why your thinking gotta be, stop trying to cap stuff. Don't even think, right? Because we'll be sitting here trying to, if I can put in the words what my spirit feels, your blessing will scare you. That's how big it is. God is only showing it to you in increments because it's that big, but it's huge. Pass this test. Now, same thing with my girlfriend who's inside the comment section. I was saying, and it's true, for a lot of you, the person who's going to open that door for you is going to be a complete stranger. And that's what happened to her. It, like, seriously, right? Somebody randomly out of the blue, right? She kept exhausting. She kept getting turned down for something over and over, and it wasn't making no sense because it's like, God, you called me from this situation. So if you call me from it, then why won't you just give me someplace to lay my head? Why am I getting turned down left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right? It's because, for one, God is testing you to see, well, I mean, are you going to go back because it's not comfortable? I mean, you got a roof over your head because I sure can't leave you out here. You know, it's not comfortable. So I'm really going to allow this time to see if you're going to go back. Because if you go back, you're going to just abort your whole destiny. Or the enemy can cause situations to cause strife within the environment because he knows God is about to bless you. So if he causes strife, he'll have your nerves all over the place. He'll have you beefing with people like some old petty stuff. So you're not even connected spiritually because you're too busy with the distractions of the enemy. Or he'll have you sitting in that environment long enough just to see if he really can trust you. And once you prove to him that he can trust you, because you're going to sit uncomfortable and all, now that you've proven yourself, now that I've built some faith in you, now I'm going to send you a stranger. Not only am I going to send you a stranger, it's going to be better than you think. It ain't going to be the apartment. It's going to be a house. You won't even have to pay a security deposit because the person's going to know me, right? The person knows me. So spirits recognize spirits. They're going to see something in you. But if you had went back, you would have missed all that. This thing is deep. This thing is hard, but it's worth it. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.